Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Let's get started.
Sounds good.
Today we're diving into Love, Theoretically, by Ali Hazelwood. You've probably heard the buzz, maybe seen the gorgeous cover, and are curious but want the inside scoop.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as your shortcut to experiencing Elsie and Jack's world.
Definitely. That's a great way to put it. We're going to break down this book for you guys. Let's dive into Elsie Hanaway's life.
Okay.
She's a theoretical physicist,
Wow.
but also a fake girlfriend.
Okay, wait. Fake girlfriend.
Yeah, so there's this app called Faux,
Okay.
and she uses it
To find dates?
No. It's for like fake dates. Like she pretends to be someone's girlfriend.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What kind of situations does this lead her into?
Oh, it's wild. She's juggling being an adjunct professor, barely making ends meet, and then she takes on these
Fake dates?
yeah, these wild faux gigs. One minute she's explaining complex physics concepts, and the next she's pretending to enjoy sea shanties or hiding a client's phobia of wallpaper. It's hilarious.
I can only imagine. Does she have a favorite client?
She does. His name is Greg, and he's actually pretty sweet. They
Ah,
develop this genuine bond, partly because his family is a mess.
really?
Yeah, and it kind of mirrors Elsie's own crazy family dynamics.
Oh, that's interesting. Family dynamics always add a layer of complexity. But what about the romance? Who is the lucky guy?
All right, so this is where it gets really interesting. Enter Greg's older brother, Jack.
Okay,
And this isn't just any older brother Jack, is the Jonathan Smith Turner,
hold on.
infamous in the academic world.
The Jonathan Smith Turner?
Yes.
The one who basically shook the foundations of physics research.
The one and only, and this is where Elsie's internal conflict comes in.
Okay.
She's got this deep resentment toward Jack because his hoax ended up hurting her mentor, Dr. Lauren Doe,
Right.
but naturally she finds herself attracted to him.
This is already sounding like a recipe for disaster.
It is.
How did their paths even cross?
Well, fate, or maybe just bad luck, intervene.
Oh,
Elsie gets an invitation to interview for a prestigious position at MIT.
wow.
A dream job for any physicist, but guess who's on the hiring committee?
Oh, no, Jack.
You guessed it.
That's got to be incredibly awkward.
Awkward doesn't even begin to describe it. There are these tense encounters, misunderstandings, and even a mortifying bathroom incident.
What happened in the bathroom?
Well, Jack catches Elsie hiding with another professor.
Oh, no.
It's a comedy of errors fueled by Elsie's desperation to keep her faux life a secret.
Okay, hiding in the bathroom. That's next level awkward. But what does this reveal? Does it blow up her whole charade?
It definitely sets the stage for the unraveling of Elsie's carefully constructed web of lies, Jack's suspicions about her relationship with Greg grow, and eventually the truth about Elsie's PhD and her faux side hustle comes spilling out.
So the truth bomb explodes. What happens next? Is there a nuclear fallout of emotions?
Absolutely. There's a lot of hurt and anger, particularly from Jack, but Hazelwood does such a good job at drawing a parallel between Elsie's tendency to lie to please others and Jack's own past trauma with his mother's death and the lies surrounding it. It's not just about the romance. It delves into deeper emotional scars.
Wow, that adds a whole new layer to their dynamic. It sounds like they both have some deep-seated issues with honesty.
They do. And amidst the chaos of exposed lies, there's a shift. Jack surprisingly offers Elsie a research position.
Really, after all that trauma, what's his angle?
Well, Elsie's initially hesitant, thinking it's some kind of power play.
Right?
But she finds out that the funding for the position comes from Jack's own grants, separate from his brother's work. He's genuinely trying to help her career, even if it means going against his brother.
That's actually quite a gesture, especially considering their animosity. So does she take the offer?
Not right away. She's still hurt and distrustful, but this act of support is a turning point. As they start being more honest with each other, their initial attraction intensifies, leading to some, shall we say, heated encounters.
Okay, now this is getting juicy. So honesty is the catalyst for both professional and personal growth.
Exactly. It's not a smooth ride, but Elsie uses this newfound honesty to make changes in other parts of her life. She comes clean to CC, her best friend, admitting that she actually hates watching those pretentious art house films.
Wait, she was faking her love for art house films? That's hilarious.
It is, and it speaks to her ingrained habit of people-pleasing even with her closest friend.
Yeah.
But this confession, however small, is a significant step for Elsie in breaking free from those patterns.
It sounds like honesty is a major theme here, with Elsie confronting it on multiple fronts.
It is, and this theme of honesty comes into play in another major area of Elsie's life. Her strained relationship with her mentor, Dr. Lauren Doe.
Right, he was the one hurt by Jack's physics hoax. How does their relationship play out?
Well, Elsie finally gathers the courage to confront Dr. Lauren Doe. She tells him how much she hates teaching and how his past actions, especially his association with Jack's hoax, have impacted her.
That must have been an incredibly difficult conversation. What's his reaction?
Lorendo doesn't take it well. He tries to guilt-trip her, dismisses her feelings, and even makes some inappropriate comments about Jack's mother. It's a harsh reality check for Elsie, realizing that her idealized mentor isn't who she thought he was.
So this confrontation is a turning point for Elsie. She's shedding the people-pleasing and finding her voice. But where does this leave her both professionally and emotionally?
Well, Elsie makes a bold decision. She chooses to work with Georgina, another physicist, who is, ironically, the one who got the MIT position Elsie wanted. This decision, along with her confrontation with Dr. Lorado, marks a significant shift in Elsie's journey of self-discovery.
Wow, that's quite a cliffhanger. Elsie is clearly on a path to take charge of her life, embracing honesty and facing her fears. But where does this leave her relationship with Jack?
That's a story for part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds like things are just getting heated. Stay tuned as we unravel the complexities of love lies in physics and love, theoretically. Welcome back to our deep dive into love, theoretically. We left off with Elsie making some bold moves, choosing honesty and challenging those around her. But let's rewind for a second. What about Elsie's family? They were mentioned briefly in the last part.
Yeah, Elsie's family, especially her mother, she plays a big role in shaping Elsie's personality and her tendency to people-please. Remember how Elsie rushed back home during her MIT interview to deal with her brother's drama?
It sounded like a whole soap opera unfolding.
It was. Her brothers Lucas and Lance were fighting over their on-again, off-again girlfriend Dana, and Elsie, being the responsible one, felt obligated to drop everything and mediate. It just highlights how Elsie's family constantly demands her attention, and how she's always expected to fix their problems, even at the expense of her own ambitions.
That's got to be exhausting, constantly putting everyone else's needs before your own.
Exactly. And this pattern of behavior is so deeply ingrained that it even affects her friendship with Cece. Remember how Elsie admitted she actually hates those long, dialogue-heavy art house films that Cece loves?
Oh, yes. That was a hilarious revelation. It's fascinating how Elsie feels the need to maintain a facade, even with her best friend.
It speaks to how deeply conditioned she is to please others to avoid conflict, and to maintain a semblance of harmony, even if it means sacrificing her own preferences. But her confession to Cece is a crucial step in breaking free from those patterns.
It's like she's finally realizing she's allowed to have her own opinions and preferences, even if they differ from those around her. But speaking of conflicting opinions, we can't forget about the elephant in the room, the physics hoax that continues to cast a shadow over Elsie and Jack's relationship.
Right. The physics hoax isn't just a plot device. It's a catalyst for some serious introspection for both Elsie and Jack. Remember, Jack's actions directly impacted Dr. Lauren Doe, who was the editor of the journal that published the fake article.
Right, it must have been a major blow to his reputation and credibility.
It was. And for Elsie, who idolizes Lauren Doe, it's a double betrayal. She grapples with her anger and resentment towards Jack, while simultaneously battling her undeniable attraction to him. It's a complex web of emotions. And Hazelwood doesn't shy away from exploring those complexities.
It sounds like the hoax serves as a constant reminder of the consequences of dishonesty, not just in academia, but also in personal relationships. But let's lighten the mood for a second. You mentioned earlier that the book has some hilarious moments. Can we delve into those?
Oh, definitely. Remember that faux app Elsie uses for her fake girlfriend gigs? Some of the client requests are utterly ridiculous. There's the guy obsessed with sea shanties, the one with the wallpaper phobia.
Oh, yes. Those were priceless. But aren't all her clients relatively harmless?
Not all. There's this one client, Austin, who turns out to be a real nightmare. He's the classic entitled jerk, pressuring Elsie to do things she's not comfortable with. And when she stands up for herself, he tries to publicly humiliate her at a physics conference.
What? Seriously, that's awful. What happens? Does she just take it?
Not this time. This is where we see a different side of Jack. He steps in, sets boundaries with Austin, and basically shuts the whole thing down. It's a surprising act of support, especially considering their strained dynamic at that point.
That's quite a turnaround from their initial animosity. It sounds like Jack's starting to see Elsie as more than just his brother's fake girlfriend.
Exactly, and these comedic moments, as lighthearted as they seem, serve a deeper purpose. They highlight some serious issues like the power dynamics between men and women in academia, the pressure on women to conform, and the consequences of staying silent in the face of bad behavior.
So even the funny moments have a deeper layer of social commentary, adding complexity to the story. But let's go back to Jack for a minute. We know he's carrying some baggage from the physics hoax. Does the book reveal anything else about his past? Anything that might explain his actions and his guarded personality?
It does. There's a pivotal scene at Jack's family gathering where his grandmother Millicent drops a bombshell about his past. It turns out that Jack's biological mother died when he was a baby, and his relationship with his stepmother Caroline wasn't exactly warm and fuzzy.
That's heartbreaking. It's no wonder he's so closed off and wary of emotional intimacy.
Exactly. This revelation explains so much about Jack's character, his aversion to lies, his emphasis on boundaries, his fear of vulnerability. And for Elsie, it's a moment of profound understanding. She starts to see him as a complex individual shaped by loss and difficult family dynamics, not just the guy who committed academic fraud.
This new understanding of Jack's past must have a significant impact on their relationship.
It does. It deepens their connection, creating a space for genuine empathy and understanding. And as they connect on a deeper emotional level, their physical attraction intensifies as well.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Tell me, are we talking Hazelwood level steamy scenes?
Oh, absolutely. But what's important is that these scenes aren't just about physical intimacy. They're about vulnerability, trust, and Elsie discovering what she truly enjoys both in and out of the bedroom. She's shedding her inhibitions and embracing her desires, a significant step in her journey of self-discovery.
It sounds like Elsie is coming into her own, both personally and professionally. But I have a feeling things aren't all smooth sailing from here.
You're right, there are more bumps in the road. Remember those hints about the ethical implications of Jack's current research? Those concerns come to a head when Elsie overhears a conversation between Jack and his colleague Andrea.
Ooh, eavesdropping. This sounds juicy. What does she overhear?
Andrea accuses Jack of looking down on theoretical physicists like Elsie, implying that he's just slumming it with her. She even suggests that his interest in Elsie is purely physical, that he's attracted to her in a bland way.
Ouch. That's gotta sting. How does Jack respond to these accusations?
He gets defensive and angry, but he never explicitly refutes Andrea's claims. This leaves Elsie wondering if his feelings for her are genuine, or if he's just using her for a casual fling.
So the seeds of doubt are sown, and this leads to a confrontation, right?
Right, it all comes to a head at another one of George's gatherings. Elsie, fueled by everything she's overheard and her own insecurities, finally confronts Jack.
This is at the moment of truth. What happened?
She lets him have it, telling him that she hates him, calling him out for his arrogance, his secrecy, and his lack of honesty.
Wow, she's not holding back. How does Jack react to this outburst?
He's taken aback at first, but then something shifts. He decides to open up to reveal his vulnerabilities. He tells Elsie about his difficult childhood, his complex relationship with his stepmother, and the reasons behind his aversion to lies. He's finally letting her see the real him, scars and all.
So he's finally being vulnerable with her. What happens next? Does Elsie soften?
She does, and Jack, emboldened by her willingness to listen, confesses something huge. He admits he's obsessed with her, that he can't stop thinking about her, that he's terrified of losing her.
Okay, this is getting good. We've got a major confession, raw emotions, and the potential for a grand gesture. I can't wait to hear what happens next.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive to find out.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back to uncover the ending of love, theoretically. Welcome back to the Bookword Duo. We're wrapping up our deep dive into love theoretically, and let me tell you, the tension is palpable. We left off with Jack's heartfelt confession admitting his obsession with Elsie.
It's a huge turning point for them. Elsie, overwhelmed by his honesty and vulnerability, kisses him.
Yes. Finally, I was wondering when they would get to this point.
It's a moment of pure passion, but it doesn't magically erase all their problems. They still have a lot to work through, especially Jack, who's grappling with his past and learning how to be more open.
So the kiss is a catalyst, but not a complete resolution. What happens next? Do they navigate these challenges together?
They do, and one of the first hurdles they face is Elsie's career. Remember, she didn't get that MIT position?
Right.
Well, there's a twist. Georgina, the woman who did get the job, offers Elsie a research position in her lab.
Wow, that's unexpected. So Elsie would be working with the person who essentially got her dream job. That's got to be a little awkward.
It is, but Georgina turned out to be a fantastic mentor, brilliant and supportive. Plus, the job comes with incredible benefits. A great salary, health insurance, the chance to focus solely on research. It's everything Elsie has ever wanted.
Sounds like a dream come true. But does Elsie accept the offer? Isn't she hesitant to work with someone connected to the physics hoax?
She is. She feels like she's betraying Dr. Laurendeau by working with someone from that circle, but ultimately she realizes this is her chance to break free from the cycle of adjuncting and pursue her passion.
It's a huge decision, and it shows how much Elsie has grown throughout the story. She's choosing herself, her career, her future. But does this decision affect her relationship with Laurendeau?
Absolutely. She finally confronts him, telling him how much she hates teaching and how his past actions have affected her. It takes immense courage to speak her truth, especially to someone she's always admired.
That must have been a difficult conversation. What's Laurendeau's reaction?
He doesn't take it well. He tries to guilt-trip her, dismisses her feelings, and even makes some unsettling remarks about Jack's mother. It's a disappointing but necessary realization for Elsie. Her mentor isn't the infallible figure she once believed him to be.
So this confrontation is a turning point. She's shedding those layers of people-pleasing and embracing her own voice. What about her friendship with Cece? How does that evolve?
Their friendship deepens as Elsie continues to be more honest with herself and those around her. Remember how she confessed to hitting those art house films?
Oh, yes. That was a classic moment of honesty.
Well, it turns out that Cece was also pretending to enjoy them. They were both putting on a show for each other. This revelation leads to a more genuine and supportive friendship one where they can be their true selves.
That's what true friendship is all about, being able to be vulnerable and honest without judgment. But let's get back to the romance. How do things progress between Elsie and Jack after that intense confrontation and the passionate kiss?
They start spending more time together both in and out of the bedroom. They have playful banter, deep late-night conversations, and even watch Twilight together.
Wait, Jack, the infamous Jonathan Smith Turner, watches Twilight.
He does, much to Elsie's amusement, and who knows, he might even enjoy it. Ironically, of course. It's a reminder that even the most serious, guarded individuals have a playful side.
I love that Hazelwood shows this lighter, more relatable side to Jack. But I'm guessing their relationship isn't all sunshine and roses. There are still some unresolved issues, right?
There are. Remember those hints about the ethical implications of Jack's research? Well, Elsie's concerns intensify when she overhears a conversation between Jack and his colleague Andrea.
Oh no. What did she overhear?
Andrea accuses Jack of looking down on theorists like Elsie and implies that his interest in her is purely superficial.
That's harsh, and that doesn't exactly deny these accusations, does he?
He doesn't. He gets defensive, but doesn't explicitly refute Andrea's claims, leaving Elsie questioning the sincerity of his feelings.
So the seeds of doubt are planted. How does Elsie react to this?
It all comes to a head at a gathering hosted by George. Elsie, feeling hurt and betrayed, finally confronts Jack, unleashing all her pent-up emotions.
This sounds intense. What happens during this confrontation?
She tells him point blank that she hates him. She calls him out for his arrogance, his secrecy, and his lack of honesty. It's a raw, emotionally charged moment.
Wow, she's not holding anything back. This has got to be the climax of their relationship. How does Jack respond to such a powerful declaration?
He's stunned at first, but then he does something unexpected. He explains himself. He tells Elsie about his difficult childhood, his complicated relationship with his stepmother, and the reasons behind his aversion to lies. He's finally letting her see the deep-seated wounds that have shaped him.
So he's finally being vulnerable with her, revealing the pain behind the facade. It's a huge step for Jack.
It is, and he doesn't stop there. He confesses that he's obsessed with Elsie, that he can't imagine his life without her.
Wow, that's a powerful declaration of love. What does Elsie do?
Overwhelmed by his honesty and vulnerability, Elsie takes another leap of faith. She kisses him.
Yes. A second kiss, and this one feels different, more meaningful. What happens after the kiss? Do they finally find their happily ever after?
They do. They work through their remaining issues, learning to communicate openly and honestly. Elsie embraces her new job, with Georgina thriving in her research and finding a supportive mentor. And Jack, inspired by Elsie's courage and honesty, continues to peel back his layers, allowing himself to be more vulnerable and open in their relationship.
So in the end, it's a story of growth, both personally and professionally. Elsie learns to prioritize her own needs, speak her truth, and embrace love on her own terms. And Jack learns to confront his past, let down his guard, and allow himself to be loved. What an incredible journey.
It is. Love, theoretically, is more than just a romance. It's a story about the transformative power of honesty, the importance of finding your voice, and the complexities of love and relationships.
What a great deep dive. I feel like I've lived a whole lifetime with Elsie and Jack.
Me too, and I think it leaves us with a thought-provoking question. What would happen if we chose to be radically honest, even when it's uncomfortable? What changes might we see in our own lives and relationships?
That's a question worth pondering. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into love, theoretically. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a sudden urge to brush up on my theoretical physics and maybe find a sea shanty or two to sing along to.
Don't forget the art house films.
Right, those too. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoy the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.